there at the top. 2 days on, has your mind changed, first of all, about the approach to the game from Big Ange? Have you changed your mind? Do you think now maybe it was the right thing to do to play like that, or are you still standing resolute on your thoughts on that?
Staying resolute. Said this all along. If this had been Arteta, if this had been Ten Hag, if this had been Klopp, Pep, Eddie Howe, if any of them had done this, we'd all be laughing. We'd all be going, what are they doing? This is why you don't manage a big club. This is why you don't win things. It was, Terry, I've never seen anything like it. I've never known a team. First of all, it's very rare you go down to 9, right? It's very rare. But you've gone down to 9 men. And I'm thinking to myself, just like, yeah, now go and do what the conversation I was having with Sam the few days before. I was saying, like, make it difficult for them. Make them break us down. Make them see that with 9 men, you can just sit in and cope. And not even sitting. It didn't have to be like on the edge of the box, Terry, but just drop 10, 15 yards and make them break us down. We didn't. We literally said, do you want a free shot at goal every time you go through? That's basically what Ange Postecoglou did. And look, playing a high line is one thing, but can we find another term for this, Terry, than high line? A high line isn't on the halfway line. That's gone beyond being a high line.
Well, the stratosphere, right, is about as far away from Earth as you can be before you're in space. Is there a word that you can use like stratosphere? Like, I don't know, like sort of, there's something there. I don't know, you wouldn't call it a stratosphere line because that doesn't sound right, but something. Someone smarter words than me. It's about it's as high as you can go until you're automatically playing every Chelsea player on side. And I want to play a clip. I want to play a clip here. Do you know who is it? Flav. He's a Spurs fan. He's
from the Fighting Cock.
Yeah, I think he's a Fighting Cock. I've seen him with. I want to play you a clip from him on TalkSport 2. Have a little listen to this.
Adogi out, Van der Ven out as well. Does it worry you a bit that he's going to stick with that in the games you've got coming up?
No. Why would it worry me? This is the way.
Just because those players aren't. Let's be honest, they're not as good as those other players that are coming out at playing that system.
It doesn't matter. You don't change the way you play. This is the way Postecoglou wants us to play. This is the way he would have set it up at the start of the season if those players weren't available. He said to James Maddison before he signed him and said, look, you're going to see a different Tottenham, whether you sign or not. James, if you sign with Spurs, that's great. But if you don't, you're going to see a different Tottenham Hotspur this season.
I'll come back to him in a minute. He had basically said that losing Van der Ven, losing James Maddison, losing Romero, it's inconsequential. The system will prevail. And he's also essentially saying that he's happy that we didn't adjust how we play because we went down to 9 men. When you hear, and there's a lot of Spurs fans saying this, especially the ones in the public domain, the Flavs, the Jamie O'Hara's, these guys all praising this. Do you feel like they're gaslighting Tottenham fans a little bit? Because this feels like it could be disastrous for Spurs in the coming weeks.
It's all about, do I want to say things to be popular or do I want to say things because I'm on TalkSport and I'm getting clicks and likes? This is the same Flav. I've got nothing against Flav, by the way. I think most of the time he talks sense, but this is the same Flav that did a show about Enoch and Levy out and how those people are idiots. And it's like, well, hang on, we haven't won anything for 16 years. Look, let's take his first statement there. Does it worry you? Now, that's a very different question to, will Ange continue to play the same way? The answer to that question is, Terry, yes, he will. If the question is, does it worry me now that Van der Ven and Romero are out and we're going to continue to play that high line? How on earth can anyone say it doesn't worry them? We're going to have a back two, Terry, of Eric Dyer's got to play, right? He's the only senior centre-back left. That means in and alongside him, we're going to have to put Ashley Phillips in, who's played 8 first-team games for Blackburn Rovers and is 18 years of age, or Højbjerg again, or Emerson Royale. None of these players, other than Ashley Phillips, who's quick, but this would be his debut, not just for Spurs. This would be his debut in the Premier League. He's had 8 senior appearances of football, and we're going to say, okay, yeah, just play a high line, just play a high line, and okay, we might get away with it at Wolves. I don't know. But let's play a high line against Watkins, Diaby, Zaniolo. Let's play a high line against Foden, Grealish. Mate, I get it. I like what he's trying to do, the manager with the football. But a really good creator said to me the other day, I won't name any names, a really good creator said to me, there's a difference sometimes between what you want to do, and what you need to do. And I think there are certain situations you've got to look and go, have I got, liken it to a recipe, Terry. I could turn around to you and go, you know what? I want this meal tonight. And you might turn around and go, oh, but Sav, we haven't got 4 of the 10 ingredients needed in the fridge to make that meal. Okay, I'll make something else. Are we just going to say now that we look at this personnel and go, yeah, don't worry, this is how we play? Again, I get what people are saying from a brave perspective, but I don't ever want to be part of a fan base that is celebrating losing 4-1 to Chelsea, an average Chelsea team, and then saying, really, really proud of that. I'm not proud of that. That was a mess. That was an absolute shower of shite. You've got to learn from what Jurgen Klopp did. Make it difficult. So for me, mate, this is utter madness. But we'll see. We've got 3 tough games coming up, and we've got Wolves away, Villa home, Man City away without Van der Ven and Romero.
Do you know what? For me, listen, I understand everything you've said. After the game, I was really excited. I enjoyed it as a neutral. I love this. It was weird to watch a team play with that higher line with 10 and 9 men. And I enjoyed the fact that for about 20 minutes of the game, Chelsea kept on breaking that line, but missing, or the goalie was saving. I thought, wow, this was just entertaining to watch. But once I kind of calmed down, listened to people speak, had time to reflect, this idea that it nearly worked is crazy. Yes, Eric Dyer nearly scored a screamer. Yes, right at the end, there was nearly an equaliser from Son. But that's all predicated on Chelsea missing so many sitters. There's a difference. If you'd have done this and stopped Chelsea having any chance on goal, and then Eric Dyer nearly gets a winner with a slightly offside goal, then I could stomach the argument that it nearly worked. The second element is this lie that's being perpetuated that Big Ange didn't change how his team played. He did. Because when you guys are 11v11 on Saturday or Sunday, whichever day it is, Saturday, I think, and you're playing Wolves and Wolves have the ball at the halfway line, I can guarantee your back 4 will not be on the halfway line.
Right.
So this notion that he doesn't change how he plays. Yes, he did, because your line typically is not as high as that. He had a thought of, let's play a really high line with 10 men and 9 men, and maybe it will work, and it hasn't. If he doesn't change his game, then I expect to see that line. And by the way, stratospheric. I'm going to call it a stratospheric line, because it's about as high as you can go before there's no oxygen left. I guarantee he doesn't do that on Saturday. So this notion that he changes how he plays, well, I don't know Flav at all. I've got no issue with him. It's not me calling him out or being disrespectful to him. He's a great content creator. When I say I don't know him, I know who he is.
Yeah. He is a good content creator. He
is. I just look at it as there's a bit of copium in there. There is an element of, I've got to back my team. We're so excited about what's to come. At the end of the day, the greatest managers of all time, the most attacking managers of all time, when they go down to 10 and 9 men, become harder to beat, become more resolute, and sit back a little bit deeper, including Pep, Fergie, etc. To think that Big Ange, and I don't mean this rudely, he could go on to be a very good manager. So far, at his age, I see nothing that puts him into the category of a Fergie or a Pep Guardiola. The fact that there's this weird notion that he is suddenly going to buck that trend of football and play like this always, and it's going to be successful, is crazy. Klopp, you mentioned Klopp. Go back and look at Klopp's early days at Liverpool. This man played heavy metal football, and he didn't address, he played at 1,000,000 miles an hour from kickoff. And what he realized was happening is, 1, only better players. 2, we were hitting 70 minutes in every game and falling off the edge of a cliff energy-wise and conceding goals. And he had to introduce better game management. He had to change where his line sat, and he had to change the level of energy that was used from the first moment right throughout the game so they could survive. He had to adapt his system to make it viable for winning the major trophies in England. If Big Ange doesn't do this, and I believe he will, by the way, he'll just be like a Bielsa, exciting and fun and praised, but in the end, always going to fall short, because it's suicidal to be that open at all times, no matter the scenario in a game. If you go 2-0 up in a really big match, everybody starts to shut up shop, hold on to the ball more, sit deeper. If you just remain open, you could be dominating the game, but you might still concede 2 goals. Why would you ever do that? It will cost Spurs in the end if they believe they'll play like this 90 minutes every game, no matter what the situation. For me, it's crazy. It's a crazy notion to even promote, in my opinion.
Yeah, do you know what? I'd never actually looked at it from that point of view, Terry. If I'm brutally honest, the fact that when people said, "Oh, he didn't change his philosophy," and it's like, well, he did. He actually doubled down from playing a high line to playing an even higher line. Like that's mad. Most teams go the other way. I also agree with you. I've been having this debate with lots of fans in the last sort of 48 hours that, oh, well, it nearly worked because we nearly scored a goal. Yeah, but it also, if Chelsea could finish their dinner, that game would have been 7 or 8-1. And if the game is 7 or 8-1, are we sitting here having a very different conversation about being proud and it nearly worked? For me, I thought the scoreline, flattered us in the end. I thought Chelsea had the better chances I don't think Chelsea had the better chances in the first half. They had the better chances obviously in the second half. Nicholas Jackson, it's really weird to say this, but he can't finish. I know he's got a hat trick, but if Nicholas Jackson was dangerous, he would have had 5 or 6 in that game. You know, all 3 goals, Terry, were an absolute carbon copy of the one before. It was all play the ball down the line, pull it back, tap it home. Yep. Now, I had this debate with someone yesterday that disagreed with me, and it was a nice, friendly debate, and I saw their point. And it was, well, look, you know, even if we had dropped back 10, 15 yards, Chelsea would have still got in behind. And I said, yeah, I agree with that. But, you know, the difference is we play a sweeper keeper. So even if we had dropped back 15 yards, 10 yards, every time they go through us, they're already 10 yards further into our half, and the keeper's already 10 yards closer to them, and he can sweep up more. What we've actually done, and I'm going to show you this. I just showed this on Judge Mo's channel as well. What we've actually done, and for anyone that can see this here, right? This is a picture of Tottenham's line. If you can see that, right? Now, first of all, Terry, anyone would think that those blue shirts there in that 4 is a defense, wouldn't you? Right? You would think that's Chelsea's defense. Now, all I've said here is every single time that ball is played from whoever's got it through to all of those players, every single time that is done, right? We're literally saying, go on, you've got 50, 60 yards to run into it. Just go and have a shot. Now, the fact that they didn't finish their dinner has made that scoreline look respectable. But I need people to make it make sense for me. 1 week ago, it's Savva, your expectations aren't good enough. You need to get on the train. We can win a title. A week later, we're celebrating losing 4-1 because we were brave. Which one is it?
Mate, this celebrating.
Which one is it? I don't understand. Are we in a title race?
I hear you.
We're gonna praise failure. I don't know which one it is.
Do you know what's crazy about it? Spurs fans are being used by the media. They are gaslighting Tottenham. Never have I seen a 4-1 defeat praised, unless it's FA Cup, a League Two team playing away at Old Trafford, and they keep it at 1-1 until the 88th minute, and then suddenly in the last 2 minutes of the game and 4 minutes of injury time, there's 3 goals scored in quick succession. It's like, oh, they've done so well for that amount of time. We'll praise them because they're a minnow. Spurs are no minnow. The fact that 2 red cards have barely been condemned, Romero's attitude has a little bit, but it's, oh, look what they're up against. They weren't up against poor refereeing decisions. In fact, they could have been down to 9 men much sooner in that game. They went 1-0 up and were dominating and started conceding chances ever before a man was sent off. And then they adjusted their team to make it easy for Chelsea. Chelsea were just messing up. And the amount of times they knocked balls over the top and they were just overhit. And if those passes over the top were hit properly, they would have been in another 5 or 6, 7 times. And if Spurs do, listen, Wolves aren't as good as Chelsea, in my opinion. If I guarantee you they don't do this weekend. And if Ange is true to his word and plays that high line, the stratospheric line, the halfway line, in all these games moving forward now, because that's the way you play football, I guarantee you Spurs get relegated this year. If you play that high line every single game, Spurs are getting relegated. The way it's been defended and celebrated, Spurs fans have been gaslit. And I get it. Everyone likes their club being praised. Everybody wants to be told, even when they lose, they're a brilliant side. Yeah. But you said it at the start, and I'll echo it. If it was any other team, if it was any other club, there is absolutely no doubt about it whatsoever in my mind. It would have been ripped apart from pillar to post by the mainstream media, by the pundits. They would have absolutely gone ballistic at the way in which the team was set up and playing. It's crazy. I've never seen praise for a defeat, by the way, from a team with one of the biggest turnovers in the world, with a squad in the last 2 years that spent nearly £500 million, being praised for losing 4-1 and getting their tactics wrong. It's genuinely crazy. And someone that says low relegated, I genuinely mean this. If they play with their defensive line on the halfway line for every minute of every game for the rest of this season, they lose every single match from now and go down. It will definitely happen.
I mean, look, for me, you know, we won't do that. We won't play every game on the halfway line. Listen, I suppose more than anything, I think I'm in shock. I've never, in all my years of watching football, and I don't know if you have or if some of the older people in the chat have, but in all my years of watching football, Terry, I've never seen a manager go down to 9 or 10 men and double down on how high the line is. I've never seen it. And for me, I just think that a lot of the praise it's getting is because people are so scared of criticizing Postecoglou because they're worried what everyone else thinks. People, every time he makes a substitution, it doesn't matter if it's good or not. People are scared to say, oh, I don't understand that. Some of the things I've seen, this wasn't even aimed at me. Somebody else I know who thought he got it wrong sent me a screenshot yesterday of their YouTube comments, right? And it's not anyone who's a part of my channel. And some of the comments this person were getting, Terry, was mad. It was, you don't deserve Ange. You don't understand the way Ange plays football. We want a manager that is this brave. You didn't want Conte, so you've got this. And I'm sitting there thinking, wow, I've opened my YouTube comments. I've seen exactly the same. And I'm thinking to myself, it's not either or, Terry. I'm not saying you have to either do offside traps on the halfway line or play everybody in your own box. But there's got to be a happy medium. I really like Postecoglou. I think he's a great manager. But there's nothing wrong with saying if somebody gets something wrong. Equally, I'll give you the biggest example, Terry. When Pep Guardiola got the Champions League final wrong that they lost to Chelsea, right? Do you remember he dropped Rodri for that final? Yeah. Everyone said, "What are you doing?" Everyone's allowed to be criticised, but it seems now we're in this era with a lot of the Spurs fans where if you criticise Postecoglou, that it means you want him sacked. Or look, I don't want him sacked. I just thought he got a decision wrong. I just thought he got it wrong, and all the ifs, buts, and maybes of, but what if we scored? Yeah, but we didn't. And we let him fall. And
yeah.
Are you likely to lose with 9 men? I mean, I think it's hard to beat if you do what Klopp does, but there's more chance of losing than if you've got 11, of course. But when you're gifting the other team chance after chance after chance, you're literally saying, go on, beat us. That's what he was saying for me. He was literally saying, go on, have as many shots as you want. And Chelsea obliged, and they did. And I'm sorry if this makes me a bad fan because I don't condone throwing away a game, then I'm a terrible fan. But I've not seen a madness tactic like that from many people. I thought it was a terrible bit of management.